Hey everyone, I'm Monty Cristo of Monty Cristo Productions, and I'm dealing with some serious, you know, social isolation quarantine here. So forgive me for this. I'm gonna clean this up. Can't go to a barber, but it's whatever. Um, but anyway, in this video, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to try to explain the movie I released on YouTube earlier this year, Iron Sharpens Iron, or some people call it Faye Sharpens Faye. Now, this was filmed practically with no budget. It's literally me holding an iPhone in my hand, filming myself as I pretend to be two different people wearing different colored Guy Fawkes masks. I advise you not to watch this video unless you've actually seen the movie because spoilers abound and pretty big ones too. Now, the movie consists of two people talking to one another for about 70 minutes, both of them played by me. It begins in media res, which basically means that when it starts, a whole bunch of crap has happened that you don't know about. And then it flashes back to the beginning of the conversation between the two so that it can catch you up to speed on what the heck is actually going on. The two main characters are Daizan and Kai. Now, this is where I'm about to drop some real spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. If you don't want to see it, don't watch this either. But there are a lot of different side plots and twists in the movie, but I'm going to focus on the main one. But to provide context, I will tell you that the supposed premise is that Daizan has been sent by some mysterious organization to retrieve a gem from Kai. And we learn that this gem is basically like a philosopher's stone, a concept that was taught in alchemy, which evolved into chemistry, hence me using iron's symbol on the periodic table instead of me just spelling out the word. Now, Daizan reveals that they planted a timed explosive in Kai's head, and unless he gives up the location of the gem, he will die. Now, why kill this guy over the philosopher's stone? Well, here's the thing. They were able to synthesize a product that once ingested gave people conditional immortality, where you can be killed, but you are immune to entropy, so conditional immortality. It says at least that was the original intention, but this elixir of life ended up killing a lot of people. Now, Daizan not only accuses Kai of stealing the gem, he accuses him of tainting the medicine in the name of social Darwinism. Kai refuses to relent, so Daizan admits to being the one responsible for the deaths of all those people. The bomb goes off, Kai dies, the bad guy wins. Except not actually. See, even though they rigged it to appear as though his head exploded from the inside, the corporation was really working with Kai. And so the so-called explosive was actually a transmitter. Kai reveals that this has all been a plot to expose Daizan for the murderer he is before escorting him off to an unknown fate. And everybody who has survived lives happily ever after. Except that is not the twist. That is what we call misdirection. Okay. Early on in the film, Daizan asks Kai about his colleagues, and what seems to be a moment of little relevance to the overall plot, Kai describes them. One of his colleagues is Dr. Pharaohs. He describes him as the type to not stand out, keeping to himself. Now, about 10 minutes later in the film, Daizan tells Kai a story about how he was accused of breaking a pencil sharpener, and he gave a false confession because he felt that the teacher wouldn't believe the truth anyway. Then he did his own detective work to find out who broke the pencil sharpener. Turns out the culprit was a little girl in the class that didn't really stand out, kept to themselves, etc., and thus elementary school Daizan was vindicated. Now that's the twist. Some of you might be thinking, how is that the twist? Well, think about it. Daizan flat out said he had a history of giving false confessions, which calls into question his confession at the end. Besides, why would he bring up a time when he gave a false confession unless he knew Kai wasn't the target, but instead he was? In order to know that, he had to know that from the very beginning when he walked through the door and sat down across from Kai, which means he knew the explosive wasn't real. So why the pretense? Because the real twist of the story happens halfway through. Daizan tells Kai who the culprit is. He uses the exact same words to describe the girl who broke the pencil sharpener that Kai had earlier used to describe Dr. Pharaohs, the real culprit. And it went over Kai's head like Dai expected it to be. Of course, this is chess, not checkers. Which means both Daizan and Kai are innocent, with Daizan being the only one who knows that fact, besides Dr. Pharaohs, of course. That is the main plot twist, but hopefully you've seen the movie before and realize there are several plot twists in the story. And that's the one everybody seems to miss, which is intentional on my part because the movie has been enjoyed by people who were surprised by Daizan's confession. It was something they took at face value. But that surprise is an illusion created by Daizan. It's a trick played on the audience that maybe one person figured out the first time they watched this movie. But that twist changes everything about the film, except for the fact that for a first-time, no-budget film, people actually enjoyed it. So if you have any questions, comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I have a novel, Sheep in Wolf's Clothing, coming soon that's also previewed on this channel. That'll be in the description box below. But anyway, hopefully that explains things. There's other Easter eggs in the movie that will inevitably lead you to realizing the actual twist, but this would be longer than the movie if I went into every single detail. So, this is Monty Cristo, signing off.